Welcome once again. It's Brian Burke here from Thrive Now as we continue to look at listening to thrive. Right now, I'm going to introduce the topic of technology and listening and look at the role that technology can have in listening. Now, I want to cut through the chase and say I don't believe that technology in itself is good or bad when it comes to listening. But I do believe that we really need to be aware that technology right now in our lives is very rarely neutral, that it has an impact, and we need to be willing and able to see that and be able to manage it and respond accordingly. So I'd ask the question, is our use of technology helping us or hurting our listening? Is the use of our technology helping our listening or hurting our listening? That's the question I want to ask today to get us to consider the role of technology in our life. I've purposely drilled down on technology not to give it a bad rap, but to be really frank and say that technology has such a presence in our life, is such a new phenomenon to the extent that if we don't consider its interaction with listening, then something's probably going to give. And that's why we're looking at now of technology. So something about technology. Technology enables you and I to enjoy being able to listen to conversations that we would never have been able to listen to. There are wonderful merits and benefits that technology gives us. But also, technology can prevent us from the joy of listening to conversations that we could have had, but we don't because we're distracted by the technology. If I'm real with you, I know I don't listen well to my children when there is a mobile phone in my hand. And if I come back to before in this course, we've been speaking about having being generous listeners, having a healthy attitudes, to being people who are engaged. And I ask myself, when I'm got the mobile phone device in my hands, is it starting to draw me away from those goals? Is it starting to pull me away from having the pleasure of experiencing connected relationships? And that's where I wanted to touch on. See, I also want to come back to social media and listening and the impact on our lives. Sometimes social media, it can leave us feeling listened to. We can feel that the masses hear us, but we can feel connected to the world, but we can be uncomfortable with our personal connections with those around us. Just want you to stay in that space for a little bit and consider that. It is possible that we can feel connected to the world, but less connection to those who are with us. And that's where it can be a phenomenon now, and Gen Z particularly can experience this. This is not against Gen Z because we want to celebrate the strengths that each generation has. We also want to honor and be able to help out each generation as well. And one of those things is Gen Z can be brilliant, fantastic at the idea of multitasking, and we don't want to detract from that. We also want to appreciate and help out that sometimes there can be a phenomenon of feeling more connected to the world at large, but less personal, authentic, intimate connection with those around us. And partly because social media can be a powerful opioid, that we can feel connected to the masses, but ravage our ability to sense connection personally with those around us. And that's something to be aware of as we grapple with the use of technology in our lives. Ultimately, it probably comes back to the idea of, is technology influencing a sense of well-being connection, Or is it maybe an unneeded distraction? And that's where it can change, but we need to be real and frank with ourselves of going, am I distracted with technology just because I'm distracted? Or am I utilizing it as a vehicle to help me be a better listener, to help me be more engaged on a particular thing? And that's the part where I want to touch on. I remember the idea when we used to help people with driving, one of the analogies we'd give them is of a bucket, and a bucket that was full with water, but if you kept having drips coming into that bucket, then it would overflow because their concentration was full. And we gave that picture particularly when we spoke about having extra people in the car, or the radio turned up, or using the mobile phone and things like that, that the more distractions easily overflowed their bucket that was full. And it's like that with listening. Probably just need to come back to the idea of going, is the use of that mobile device at that particular time, is that overflowing my listening bucket right now, and I'm not able to give myself fully to those around us, or is it helping me to listen? And again, it's not that I'm saying that it's actually immediately one or the other, but it's us having that honest conversation with ourselves and going, no, I'm just doing it because I'm distracted right now. Or it is because it is helping out at the present. So that's the idea of technology and listening. I said about, is it helping us or is it hurting us? And just quickly checking, I've covered on that. And I wrap it up with a last statement that social media can be a lonely place without the gift of listening. So I've also wanting to leave you with the idea of, as we go through this course and consider about listening, I want to encourage you to consider, what does it look like for you to be an effective listener